Okay, this is pretty much the same Tormek that we have in the back.
It is?
Yes.
All right.
The that one doesn't have the tools though. It has this square edge jig, which I'll show you how to use again. And that's about it. There are a couple of others you should have for basic stuff. It also, the one back there has this angle set up for your tools so you get the right angle on here when you want to grind it. One of the indicators has to do with the diameter of the wheel, and the other one has to do with the angle that you want. And then when you set it down on here, I'll do it this way. When you set it down on here, you can see that the angle is right, and then you know you're going to get the right angle. I don't do it that way. I'm too lazy. So what I do is I either use the Tormek marker or just a plain felt marker and mark the whole thing, the whole bevel, so that when I set something up on this square edge grinder, I'm going to use one of the blades from the boat build. I'll just fiddle with it until the mark comes off in the middle, and I don't have to worry about all this other rigmarole. Now, if you want to make a new bevel, I usually would do it on a grinder and then work on this. Okay.
You mean a separate bench grinder?
Pardon me?
A separate bench grinder?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which we have in there. Don't forget to use water. Okay, now this, let's set it up to work first. The water container has a little wheel on the back here that sets it up to raise and lower. And you fill this up, there's a little edge inside there, fill it up to that. After that, it starts to leak. So, and then you turn the wheel on for a while so that it will pick up the water and soak. Okay, now I've already done that, so I don't have to do it again right now. The other thing is you want your wheel to be true. And one of the tools that you use for that is a TT50. We don't have one. We should have one. It has a little copper protrusion here with diamond in it, so that you can cut across and I do it this way. I can't do it now because it's set up to something else, but you raise it up, and I might as well do it. We have the two wheels here so we can raise and lower this. And what I do is raise it up until I can see that it's about right, and then tighten it up. So this would be hitting a high point on the wheel. So then you have this little micro wheel in here that you can screw down a little bit at a time and run it back and forth until you get the thing trued up. I did that already, so I didn't have to spend, it takes a little while to do it. So I didn't have to spend 10 minutes doing it and have you watch me play with this thing. So it's ready to go. Then the next thing you need to do is you need to surface the wheel. Now we should have one of these, which we don't have. And what it does is on the one side, it surfaces the wheel to 220, on the other side it's to 1,000. So that's basically all you need. And it doesn't really wear the wheel much to flip it over and go from the 220 to the 1,000.
Where do you physically hold that thing in your hand?
Yeah, I'm going to show you, because I haven't done that yet. Now, you don't want to hold it against this because it might wear it. So you just hold it tightly. And in this case, the wheel is running this way. You can have the wheel run either way when you sharpen your blades. If it's toward the blade, particularly with this, the edges work a little bit better and it's a little faster. If you do it with the blade going away from you, it tends to push the blade off the wheel a little bit, and you can mess up your angle, but it's safe. Like if you're doing a knife, I do my knives freehand away, just like the old days, you know, what you used to do with the old grinding wheel in the backyard. Okay, so I think I would prefer to have the wheel going away from me when I do this, just so I'm not going to go back against here. Although, if you hold it to keep it away, you can, but I think I'm not that strong and my wrist doesn't work that well. And here's another thing we should have that we don't have, and that's a turntable, so that you can flip it right around easily. Trying to horse the thing around can be a little bit of a problem. So I found this turntable really useful. Okay, now, and then I'll show you how to charge these up too for honing. So I've already done some of it, so it won't take this long. Okay, so I'm going to do it on the rough, the 220, back and forth.
What kind of pressure are you putting on that?
Oh, pretty good amount of pressure on it to make it grind. And run it back and forth too so it doesn't load up. And that's probably good enough right there. Okay. Now, when you hone, you always want to have the wheel turning away, because if you have a blade here and you're going along with it, it can dig in and then wipe out your leather. I use mineral oil. They have an oil that Tormek has, which is basically mineral oil. And you just charge the leather up with that so it's supple enough to take the honing compound. And I've already done this once this morning, so it should be easy now. It showed them doing it with in the manual, which we have back there, And the manual shows you everything with pictures so we can understand it. Works really well. And then this stuff soaks in a little bit so that the honing compound will stay with it. Now, the honing compound they have here is a white material. It looks kind of like white tripoli to me. We used to use tin oxide on that stuff. The only place I know where to get tin oxide anymore is in ceramic supply. So this is honing wheel dressing. And just put a little on there. I want to make sure this is soaked in. My finger should be nice and smooth. This will stay on the wheel nicely now. I'm not going to be doing any gouges today. Very rarely have to, I think. But I'll show you the jig that we do it with. And since I walked out without my blades this morning, I was going to use a gouge, but sitting at home on the workbench. Got all this stuff set up last night so I wouldn't have to hurry. Doesn't work. Always good to have paper towels. Here's another thing that's really good to have. This baking sheet here. If you use a little too much water in there, it's going to drain off. And rather than have a mess, if you have this, it picks it up and it works really well. Do any of you guys have one of these at home that you want to get rid of?
I just gave away a whole bunch of them at a donation thing this week after our sale.
Well, we could really use one back there.
Yeah, okay.
And so what I do, I have this set up on some wood, and then the turntable, then the machine.
The turntable comes from Tormek too.
Yeah. And I have the list of those things that we should have. Okay, so. See how handy that is. You don't have one of those, do you, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I bought the stupid expensive one.
We want the smart
If there's a way to be more efficient, you'll figure it out, huh? Which is good. Okay, so now we'll set up a blade. I'll use one of the blades from the family boat bill.
Probably got plenty of gouges in it.
This is some pretty, not bad shape. I wonder if it got used at all.
They were nicely sharp when we started.
They usually are. So I'm just putting it in here, and the nice thing about the jig is it sets it up so that it's square. You don't have fingers away from the edge. Okay. So you're going to check and see how close it is. It's pretty close. The Tormek felt marker's a little nicer, but I don't imagine it's very cheap either. Okay, now here I didn't do that evenly, so the blade is not along the edge here. So I have to make sure it is. Okay, front and back. Adjustment there. So you need to pay attention to what you're doing.
You turn by hand or do you turn back?
What's that?
I was wondering how you check. So I usually turn by hand.
I can't hear you.
I turn the wheel by hand.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay.
See where I'm hitting it.
Yeah.
Now, you can see here that it's not quite right because it took the ink off at the back. So it needs to be raised a little bit. And you fiddle with it till you get it right. The nice thing about that is you have this little micro dial here. Raise it a little bit. And give it a try. That looks pretty good. That mark, because this is concave, you took ink off both edges of the bevel. The concave or not concave argument to the, by the purists who use these flat stones,
Diamond stones.
is that the bevel is stronger if it isn't concave. Then on the other hand, if it is concave, it's easier to touch it up while you're working. So it all depends on what your pleasure is. Okay, now the wheel's going this way. And I just run it back and forth. You notice I put the edge in here and in here so it doesn't run off. Doesn't take a lot of pressure. This looked like it was pretty sharp already.
So what was that adjustment you just made?
This one?
No.
That one. There's
Yeah.
a little wheel down here.
Yeah. But you
It's
just.
horizontal.
But you. Yeah.
And it will raise your base here
Right.
just a little bit or lower. It works quite well. And then there are the two knobs like that back here to tighten down. Then if you want to hone it quickly, there's some adjustment on this. You can flip it over and set it up on here, and it will work the same way that it does on the wheel. I've never done that. I usually don't hone it on here, but I probably should. take it off to look at it. Somebody else might be able to look around. I can't. Almost there. Actually, it could be up a little higher.
The Tormek accessories are quite expensive, but they're really nice. For things I don't use very often, I buy the Grizzly accessories.
Say that again.
I said the Tormek accessories are very expensive, but very nice.
Yeah.
For things I don't do very often, I buy the Grizzly accessories because they're really cheap. They're not as good, they're not as well finished. But if I'm only doing things, you know, like I've done the axe once. So I bought the axe
Yeah.
Grizzly.
I'm not about to do that.
Yeah, it's just, there's a big price difference.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they have them for everything. Like I'm not about to buy the knife jig either. I just do it by hand. And every knife in our house is now dull, so I'm gonna have to go spend a day sharpening that. This grinds pretty quickly on the 220 here. It's not like grinding it on a 220 on a diamond plate or anything, which takes a while. But ultimately, I don't know if you save that much time doing this. It just works easier. I have one of those work sharps, which works pretty well, using sandpaper. And I probably could have just stuck with that and not put the money out for this. But I like it. Now that I'm getting used to it. Just about there. So a little bit of,
Mike, would you pass that around to see? Let's see what almost there looks like.
okay.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yes, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything about using this is obvious, which is real nice.
Mike, when you use the dressing stone,
Yeah.
do you do it at
Oh, that
220,
doesn't work.
and then do you need to do it again at 1000?
Well, if you want a real a more polished finish on the bevel, yeah. Otherwise, I don't do it. I end up running it through my diamond blades instead, which doesn't take much longer. And then hone it. I could hone it on here. But even, I think I have left it at 220 and then honed on here, and it came out real well too. So I don't use the 1000 very often, but we'll do it here.
What about when you're grinding, what about the burr on the back? How do you still have to remove
Good
it?
question. So if you have the burr on the back, you can use the side of the wheel in this case. That'll take the burr off the back. Takes it right off. Yeah. That was a good question. Okay, so maybe 10 or 15 more runs on here. And we'll have it. Doesn't take long. You know, I used to do like 60 runs with the Mark II on the diamond plate, which takes about a minute, a little over a minute. So again, you're not really saving much time, but does a nicer job, really.
It's also a more easily repeatable process.
Exactly. You saw how rough the surface was. You can see the marks on the bevel. I'll dress this down to 1,000, see what it looks like. You should go back and forth. It keeps it even and it doesn't hold the stone up here.
If you had a mirror, you wouldn't have to keep.
That's true. A mirror would be good.
Yeah.
You know, set it up right
You
here.
just set, yeah, or just even a little handheld mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd save you time.
Save a lot of time. Okay, this looks pretty good.
Also, as you get close to a true bevel, can you feel it in the vibration or the ease of?
Not really.
Okay.
Somebody might, but
Okay.
it feels like, well, maybe I can.
So
Well, it's
you have
intuitive.
kinetic feedback when you're close.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel it when it's working down. Okay. Yeah. And you can feel it on the back, so you know for sure that you've gotten it. Okay, now we'll dress it to 1,000.
Again, let's
You want to see this again?
Yep.
Okay, while I'm dressing it, you can pass
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah.
around. It's not bad.
Totally, no, but it's totally obvious that
Yeah.
you've got a bright edge all the way across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing. Can get a little sloppy, which is good. Okay. That's pretty good. There's still some marks on it. This stuff takes a little while to do it. So I was hoping to have pretty much have those kinds of things finished, so you guys don't have to watch it. But okay.
Mike, how do you ensure that you're not rounding the edges as you go back and forth?
If you hold it flat, it won't round.
You won't run off the corner and round it?
I mean, if you slip, you'll do it.
Okay.
But I haven't had that problem. I didn't set this up quite right, so slopping water. But you ought to see the water that's in the pan. A lot of water in the pan. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be able to tell much of the difference or not.
Tell by the sound.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Tell by the sound that it's
Yeah,
it's polishing rather than actually grinding. You can't
Yeah.
hear it before you can hear it.
yeah, it is quiet. That's another nice thing about the machine. The machine is quiet.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's pretty. Yeah, Didn't quite get one in, so you can still see the difference. So I should run it through again, but I'll pass it around so you can see the difference on that one end. You see that one?
Yeah. You've got just
Yeah, I
just a
haven't
little.
gotten it yet, yeah.
Mike, do you check the sharpness on your fingernail or anything like that? Is it something?
That's what I had the paper for.
Or you,
I'll
I
do
shaved
the-
the
I
back,
did the
hair
paper
off the
thing.
back of my hand.
Yeah.
So when I haven't sharpened it in a while. When I have to sharpen my blades for the oars now, I will end up with no hair on the back of my hand. by the time I'm done. This one.
That's where you ask your wife to come in. Oh, we hand up.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Oops, a little too much there. Oh, yeah. That's cool. Think about the first boat I built was a kayak, and the only plane I had was the one I bought off the Twin Block plane, was Builder Square. Probably cost me all of $14, and I don't think I ever sharpened out of that.
Yeah.
Things didn't come sharpened.
Okay, so I'll finish this up here. It'll only take a couple runs to finish it up. So you see there is quite a difference between the surfaces. So when I start another blade, I'll roughen it up again. Just a little bit more. And of course this doesn't grind anywhere near as quickly. Now, another nice thing about this jig is that, yeah, it's good. These two knobs can be loosened up so that as you go across, you can put a little convex edge on the blade. So like if you have a jack plane, which you want a little convex edge on the blade, this will get it for you. So that's a nice, easy way to do it. Even if you have a, okay, what's the plane? I blanked out on it. The one that you take a lot of surface off.
Scrub plane.
Say that again.
Scrub plane.
Yeah.
Scrub plane.
You can even get that much of a convex surface. Okay. So this would probably be sharp enough to use just like this. Most for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's working. But if we want it to be super perfect, what we do and when we brought this in, when we brought ours in from John's, you could see that he had done this a lot. He'd used the whole machine. Okay, so we set it up the same way we did before. I suppose I could get right It's pretty nice. It looks pretty good. Probably use it just like this, or give it a couple of shots on, you know, that ceramic disc underneath the Tormek in there. You can hone your blade on that. That's what it's for. So you can give it a couple of swipes after you get it to this point, and then give it a couple of swipes on there with some water, and you're golden. Okay, so this goes in quite a way. So you can see how that little wheel on there allows you to adjust. So if you do all this beforehand, you can just flip it around and finish it off quickly and easily. So when you set up the blade for here, set it up for here too. That's close. Very lightly. In this case, go in a little more. Sorry, these demos, this sort of thing takes a long time. I mean, it's no big deal when you're doing, oh, perfect. When you're doing it yourself, it doesn't feel like it's taking a long time. You have people sitting in front of you, sitting there twiddling their thumbs while you're messing around.
We don't have anything else to do.
Okay. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay. It's good enough for me.
Let's pass that.
Yeah, no, and I'm just gonna. Actually, I'm just gonna run it along here, in case there happens to be a little burr on this. Okay, now let's see what it does. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Sharp enough to hurt ourselves now.
Yeah. Done that.
So what about secondary bevels?
A secondary bevel?
Yeah.
I don't usually do it, but it helps the edge last a little longer, and it makes sure that it's even. But I don't really usually do it.
I do the secondary bevel as I'm tuning up, as I'm using it.
Yeah.
So I add a little bit so I can sharpen it, and then I have to go back and
When
redo
you're
it.
on a flat?
Yeah, flat stone.
Oh, on the, yeah.
I'll just run it a few times,
Right.
slightly different angles, so I can just keep building it until it gets too
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to go through the whole sharpening.
You don't have to
process.
grind the whole surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's
Yeah.
the other thing. I don't regrind the whole surface. I use these, and of course I can touch up while I'm working. It takes quite a while before you have to go back on this machine when you have your other stones. And an oil stone's as good as a diamond stone. It just takes a little longer. My father-in-law was a wood carver for 40 years. I brought him in. I got his oil stones, Arkansas stones, and they do as good a job as this does. It just takes a little bit longer. So don't throw your oil stones away. So all this stuff works. All right, now one last thing I'll show you here. This is a short tool grinder or jig, and it fits on here like that. And it's nice. It's also, you can use it for a gouge too. So I'll start on this, and I'd have to go through the whole thing to get it ground, which I'm not going to do. But it's Bob's new treasure that he found on the road. And this is another tool you should have. And that's the last tool you should have. Then if you want to get fancy, there are tools specifically for gouges and for lathe tools and all that kind of stuff. There's still enough water in there. Okay. Looks pretty good. Okay. So you set it in here and make sure that it's level, and tighten it down, and then you go through the same gyrations that you go through to set up the other flat blades. So we'll give it a try here and see how it works. Now I have this on fine rather than on the rougher one.
All right.
I should have it on the rougher one. Oh, that's about right. Wow. You get to where you're pretty good after you do it a few times. Okay, I'm gonna roughen this up. I suppose I could do it this way. Yeah, you can do it this way if you hold it out. The reason I'm doing it this way is it's not throwing a lot of water on the table. I'm not going to do the whole blade here. I'm just going to start it. But you can hear the difference, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was a mess, so it would take a while to get it done.
So why would you use that jig rather than the one you're using before for that?
You wouldn't have to use this jig. I'm just doing it to show it to you. If you had a gouge or
Okay.
a tool with a shorter blade,
Yeah.
this is good for that. So this is started. So if Bob wants to finish it, he can. And that's all there is to that. Now, the next thing I'd like to do is go in and true up the wheel on our machine, make sure it's true, so you can see how that works.
Mike, how often do you have to dress the wheel?
More often than I thought initially. It's fairly often, about 5 or 10 blades.
So when you're doing the shop blades, do you use the stone to make it at a 220 and go through a whole bunch of them at 220 and then come
Yeah.
back?
Yeah, I think this next time I'll do the whole bunch at 220 and come back and do the 1000 because I like it. I was just doing it 220 and then finishing them on these, but I'm pretty happy with that. That really worked out. And I have one less plane to do too, so which is good. Okay, let's go take the truing jig.
Did you want our wet grinder brought to you?
Say that again.
You want our brought to you?
Want to bring the Tormek?
No. There's so few of us, we can just walk back there and do it, don't you think?
Oh, the camera set up, so we can just bring it to you if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Oh,
be
yeah,
good.
that's true. Okay, if you want to do that, that would be fine. I was thinking,
He's not all right.
I'll just take it on the floor.
You want me to do it for you? You got it.
Say that again.
Would you like me to do it, or you have it?
I have this,
Okay.
and if somebody wants to grab that,
Yeah.
and pick it up by the handle, don't pick it up by these things. Because it can come loose, and it hurts.
In the jaw.
So anyway, the more I use it, the more I like it.
Shoulders on a skirt. Can you hold up my hands?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. And we'll flip it around. Put some water in it. I don't know if we even need to put water in it when we, it didn't say anything about putting water in it when you're truing it. But probably wouldn't hurt.
It would wash away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a little bit older than mine.
We will have to plug it in.
Yeah.
Huh?
Technicality.
Really? Are you kidding me? I'm old. I forget things. Like plugging in. Actually, I was in a college physics class. And the guy had the whole thing set up and it wouldn't work. He said, "Oh, I forgot to plug it in." I thought that was pretty funny. Who would do that? Okay. If I can find the correct jig again. This is a little bit older than mine. Mine's prettier.
It is.
And probably a lot more expensive than this one when he bought it. See, that's what I was afraid would happen.
So what are you looking for there?
I'm looking to get the bottom of this flat on the way. Just the way we did with the blade.
I gotta go.
Okay. You leaving?
Yeah. You don't have to, you can just leave it here.
Well,
Two blocks at the
I'll
same
finish
time.
it eventually.
See you later, guys.
Take care, Ruth. That looks almost there. And it's a matter of sighting, so you see the light underneath the piece. Now it's nice and flat, and so we're ready to rock and roll. Okay. Now on this one, I think might be tougher to raise the bath.
At one setting.
Not that it,
I don't think it adjusts.
yeah, not that it matters a lot, because there's enough water in it. It's fine enough. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just leave it alone, fill it up, go with it. Now that water's gone down a lot already because this hasn't been used in a while. It was really dry. Let's do okay. All right, now.
What's actually cutting is a little diamond point?
Say that again.
Is that a little diamond?
Yeah, diamonds embedded in copper. And so you can replace it easily. So it sloughs off the diamonds. Just to make sure this doesn't go off the edge. It's always a good idea. Oh, he doesn't even have one. Okay. That's a safety thing on mine. He doesn't have one yet. Okay.
You don't have it set up right.
Not working on here.
Can I show you how to, you're
Because
close.
this catches on here.
Yeah.
It doesn't on mine.
Once you turn it off.
Yeah.
So we push it over,
Yeah.
and then we lock it down,
Yeah.
and then you use this wheel to go back and
Like
forth.
that part, yeah.
And you're too high, or too low, you have to go up.
And then roll down.
No, leave that.
Well, while I was setting this up to get it flat, this was loose. This should be loose. Then you tighten it.
But that way it's up against here, so it doesn't move back and forth.
Yeah, it also helps you while you're trying to see if this is flat. That's what I got things. See, it's nice and flat, so it should be tight.
Okay, but you're still,
And then this.
you need to raise it because you won't go across because it's too long.
you have to raise it. Yes. So loosen those. And we'll raise it just a little bit. And I run it across.
Yeah, that's the way I do it too.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
arrange for it.
Yeah, and then you, so you got a little gap
Should
there.
just be touching on the high points of your high points. Okay.
Yeah, you got it like a paper weight.
Do you have to
Okay.
move it across to find the high spot so you know where to set it?
I have it high, like a paper width high, and I go back and forth,
Yeah.
and I go down
Ah,
to it, so
yeah,
I
okay.
find the high spot.
What
Yeah,
they
okay.
say is it should touch any high point,
Yeah.
and then you start using this. Once this is tightened down, I just
I just leave it high.
stop
And then
thinking.
Yeah, work your way down, yeah.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah, this is, well, yeah, this is fine. Okay, so,
Take it all the way off till you're over.
well, turn it off.
No, but move the bit so it's not on the stone.
yeah.
I don't even do that usually. I do it until it touches.
I just keep doing it.
So that's why they're having that
Okay.
fine adjustment on the height.
Okay, you feel that just touch the high point? Okay,
So I just
then you
I
tighten
get the
it,
button and then I just do quarter turns.
then you can go off all the
So I
way.
take my time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to take any more
Then
than
you can come back.
Yeah. I had it set on the low spot, so now that's why I.
Yeah.
And it does take a little time, but usually do that.
Still high.
Right. Yeah.
I think I did this
Not
not
doing
too
that.
long ago on this machine.
20.
so it shouldn't be-
Find family boat build clean blades at a
Yeah.
time.
I'll do, like I need to sharpen my plane, I'll probably do 4 planes, probably 5. I think it's 4 planes, 4 or 5 planes, and, 5 chisels, all of this. Because once I get set up, I just try to get through it. Probably lasts a year, just doing the sharpening of the dial stuff.
Okay. So now I'm going back to, did you catch this?
Yeah.
That was off a little. Still not quite chewed up.
Oh. How did you tell that?
You still see the dark on the center.
Yeah,
Ah.
but a lot of it,
Because I heard it grinding all the way across, but
Yeah. But it must, that dark area must penetrate into the stone.
But the sound did change as it went across.
yeah.
There was a,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's worn down in the middle. So I'll probably have to run it back through a couple more times. But as far as we're concerned, that's all you need to know.
We should get one of those for